Well, I'm joined now by retired Wing Commander Musa Salman and media consultant and political affairs analyst Dr. Ibrahim Modibbo. Thank you, both of you gentlemen, for joining us on Newsnight. And it's good that we'll be able to have, your different perspectives on these issues. The fact that Boko Haram, again, seems to be rearing its head in the northeast of Nigeria. And you've heard, the governor of Borno State raised the alarm that, look, we're losing control here. Let me start with you, retired Wing Commander. When you hear that 100 soldiers have been killed in a space of, 6 months, and that's according to the Senator Alin Dume. He says that the Nigerian military needs MRAP, that's a mine-resistant ambush-protected vehicles. That would actually cost about ₦1 billion. Before we even get to that, 100 soldiers dying in 6 months. What does that really say? What does it mean?
Well, every death is regrettable.
Right.
Every death is should be not wished for citizens, but especially if it is the death of people that have been saddled with that responsibility to protect the wider society, because it has implications in terms of morale for both the soldiers that are still alive, but also for citizens, because it spreads that fear and the feeling that we are not protected. So it has a psychological effect on both the soldiers themselves and civilians. Having said that, insurgencies by nature are such that they have cycles. It's unfortunate that since 2009 up to today we are battling, will I say, almost the same thing. It changes, it goes down. The wave or the tide goes down, then it reappears, the kind of resurgence that we are having at the moment. So it goes to say it's time to look at what are the things that we have not been doing well, or what are those things that we have done well that we should be doing more of, and so on. So it's an unfortunate situation, soldiers being killed, and this is what we hope that by now we wouldn't be talking about that, especially in the Northeast, where we had seen remarkable improvement in the security situation. So it's a bad situation. It's something that is saying that something has to be done to get us out of where we are.
Dr. Modibbo, this resurgence, what do you think is giving rise to it? Is it that government and all those whose job it is, to push back and push back permanently, these terrorists, have they dropped the ball? Is that what is going on here?
Thank you very much, Ngozi. The issue of resurgence of this insurgency cannot in any way be divorced from the fact that I think the insurgents seems to have been able to have some psychological or a kind of tactical, approach to the insurgency.
A superior one at that,
well,
it seems.
That is what it seems. You see, the problem is, why is it that after some time, we must commend the military for doing a very wonderful job right from the inception of this thing, especially the Chief of General Staff, General Musa. When he was there as the theater commander, he did wonderfully well. I've never met him, I don't know him, but at that point in time, the military were able to tame the insurgents and they boxed them towards the Sambisa forest and also the Cameroon mountains. Now, with time, the insurgents decided to just withdraw tactically and just keep their cool. And they allowed the military to relax. You see, the fundamental issue that we need to see, based on studies, is that there is no proactive measure. We are always on reactive measures. We always allow, the military allows, the insurgents to come and attack. They don't take these attacks to them. And also, too, why are the issues of modern technology in warfare? It's all this crude way of, going to warfare, because these insurgents do not even wear, they are they don't wear uniforms so that you identify them as people that are your enemies. And secondly, some of them, if they strike, do you know that if the military are in pursuit of them, some of them will just go and enter some villages and mix
with the general population.
And therefore, it will be very difficult, if not impossible, for the military to be able to operate within the confines of modern warfare without getting the assistance of the local community. Because the local community know them very well. They are with them. So therefore, to me, there's the issue of technology. The drones have to be used because what they do, the military has not been able to cultivate that kind of friendship of the local community where information, which is very paramount and fundamental, has not been able to be given or deciphered to the military. Therefore, what they do is, because of their, closeness in terms of affinity, in terms of religion, in terms of cultural symbiotic relationships, and also in terms of the linguistic approach.
Right.
They share common languages. Therefore, they don't give information to the military. Rather, they try to hide some of these insurgents. And therefore, these insurgents have always been fed with information. If the military will have operation, some of these people will call them, they will go to someone.
So the question is, how is it that these people, these communities, feel confident enough to give information to the insurgents, while the military that needs this information that can convert to intel are being, denied the information? What exactly, is it? I'd like you to address that. And also, you raised the point that about, what we're not doing well, what is not being done well by the military. I'd like you to address that in terms of what exactly is the military not doing well. So
these things are linked in the way that when you ask the question, why or how are they able to get this information without the military getting? First, there are the factors of the issue of affinity. They live within this environment and so on and so on. But the truth again is that there's the issue of fear. The fear repercussion if they share intelligence or information with the military, because the military do not live within the civilian society or within the communities. But these people, because of the nature, like we know, they don't wear uniforms, they have more intelligence because of how they are embedded in the civilian population than the military will do. And another aspect that we fail to look at is even the incentive. They incentivize the populace more. And we have to even look at some other things where, and going to part of what you're saying that we're not doing well, is the issue of intelligence and information. Now, information or intelligence, wherever it is money. It costs a lot of money. Now, if the military, for example, those guys, one failure that we made is not tracing. You'd see when there was this lull in operations and so on, it's failure of intelligence that they are able to reorganize themselves and regroup and launch attacks. Where did they get the money from to get those weapons? Where did they get, where was the intelligence that was saying that these people are regrouping?
Recall in 2021, the same Senator Aline Dume actually raised the alarm that about 400 bureaux de change, allegedly were funding Boko Haram. Did we even follow that investigation to a logical conclusion to find out if there's any logic or, veracity to the claims of the Senator Aline Dume?
You see, one of the most outstanding and worthy narrative about the whole conflict, especially this issue of insurgency in the northeast, where I come from. Coincidentally, I'm from Adama, and I have a wonderful perception about the topography of the area because I also schooled in Borno State. So I know the topography very well. And you see, the problem is we have to use intelligence. The federal government must wake up to its current slumber to make sure that it tracks the funding of the Boko Haramites. Secondly, where are the weapons coming from? How have the government not been able to tackle the source of weapons that they get? Two, in terms of even the recruitment process, how have they been able to recruit a lot of people, from the villages and what have you, and also train them in terms of handling of modern weapons and what have you to confront the army. These are some fundamental issues that must be studied critically. And the government, let me tell you, you see, Madam Ngozi, the thing is, it is a fact that there are some people, because of the religious, zealotry in them, they tend to support Boko Haram, feeling that
it's a religious ideology that's driving what
but not knowing that, look, it's a disaster, it's a disservice to the institution called Nigeria. We have to stand up to make sure that all our religious imams and the church and, well, mainly imams in that area, should be educated very well to know that, look, these people, they are not even real Muslims. Some of them, they don't even pray. They claim to be Muslims, they claim to be, reading the Holy Quran and also saying that they are fighting because of Allah. And it's not true. Some of them, they don't even pray.
How do you make them see that these people are enemies and not friends of theirs? That seems to be where the challenge is. Wing Commander, let me come back to you.
Yes.
I mean, he talked about technology, that there's a serious need, to deploy technology. So much has been said about drones, how they don't really cost too much. They don't cost an arm and a leg. Why is it that the Nigerian military or the Nigerian government, as a matter of fact, is not looking in that direction? Alin Dume also talks about mine-resistant ambush protection. How important really are these vehicles, considering the deep, cost too?
Yes, the fact is logistics generally is key because you have to be able, after you've gotten even the intelligence, your response has to be timely and it has to be in such a way that is effective. Now that can be impeded by logistics, the presence or the lack of data. Then also the platforms. The drones, whether they are armed or they are just for surveillance and so on, have to be there. One good thing that they have is that they can loiter around for so long and so on and so forth. But when the drone sees, if it's not armed, for example, and it cannot deliver, then someone has to follow up real time to ensure that those targets are hit. Now that comes to where logistics comes in, and that comes to where the Air Force comes in also. So it's a lot of synergy between the land forces and the Air Force. You cannot, for example, the issue of technology, but also technology must be supported by number.
Right.
It's
and we don't have the numbers.
We don't have
adequate the training. Do we have the training? Do we have the equipment? Do we have the motivated armed forces?
So all those are intertwined. So, for example, what is adequate number, for example? If you have the problems that we have and the military and other security forces being overstretched everywhere, they're in the northwest, they're in the northeast, they're in north central, they're everywhere. How many do we have that can actually be put in a particular space? So with a population of 300 and plus million, and
or 200 and
or 200 well 200 plus, then, and that being, if you look at the youthful percentage
based on findings, the army about 300,000.
Yes, that is grossly
police about 400,000.
That is grossly that's less than 1 million that we're talking about. But if you add police, you have the Nigerian security and civil defense and all other paramilitary agencies,
still not up to 1 million.
They're still not, or maybe around, just give a good number, say 1.52 million, is still not sufficient for what is being expected of it. So we have to get the numbers, then that would be complemented by intelligence and technology. But if we don't put all that together at the same time, we are likely going to have this type of
Are we getting to a stage of a state of emergency in not just Borno State, maybe in the northeast? Should that even be considered? And while you think of that, 11 years or so of Chibok girls, they're still not back. About 100 of them.
Yeah, if you look at the issue, I don't think it's we've reached that stage of state of emergency. Because if you look at the Boko Haram, earlier than now, had been able to overrun almost about 15 or so local governments in Borno State. But as of today, because of the pushback, especially from the military, because of the constant attack.
According to the governor,
there are only
three local governments are
So they
only?
Well, 3 local governments they are handling now, but I'm sure maybe because of the voicing out of this frustration from the governor, there's every possibility of the military, pushing back to see how they can claim the 3 local governments. If they have had about 15 local governments, when it has been limited to only 3 now, I think it's to a large extent it's a pass mark, although not an excellent A grade. It could be a C or D, but they've been able to do well.
Okay.
Now, looking at the issue of the Chibok girls. Chibok girls have been popular for very wrong reasons.
Why do you say so?
Well, I'm talking of Chibok itself, the town.
Right, the town.
Yes,
oh, right.
The town itself, because it's a town that was, it's a town that stood, on about 1,350 kilometers radius and also 417 meters above sea level, with alluvial plains, beautiful network of nature, especially.
Ordinarily should be a pristine area.
Exactly.
Yes,
I did my school in Waka Secondary School in Pew, so we've been going there in the 70s, to that place. Fantastic area. But all these beautiful attributes of nature, which could only be rivaled by the nature itself, has now been made a drawback because of the notoriety of the Boko Haramites taking the Chibok girls. Now, as of today, we are celebrating 11 years of Chibok girls, celebrating quote and unquote that
let's say marking.
Yes.
Well, let's say marking, because we've been able to get some back, but others are still there.
Over 100.
Over 100.
That's a lot.
It's a very, very sad situation. It's a sad commentary in the history of Nigeria. Whatever parameter we use in terms of logistics, in terms of looking at nature itself, for somebody to come and have his own daughter taking the person to school, especially in an environment where a lot of people feel shy or they don't even care of taking their children to school. Now we have these children going to school and these people coming overnight to pick them up. So that means it will dampen, first and foremost, it will dampen even the intellectual capacity of especially girl child education, and also looking at the issue of safeguarding the interest of these students, especially girl child in education, because we know the Boko Haram have also been taking with the boys. They have taken some boys in Fortisco or something like that, around that area of Bunyadi.
Recruiting them forcefully,
yes, and recruiting them forcefully. So now I'm so happy.
We have to.
I'm so happy that I saw some of the girls, in Yola, in the university region now. You see they've become very big girls, and hopefully they'll be integrated into society, because I learned that the government of Borno State have been able to give them houses, kept them under a at least comfortable atmosphere for the purpose of integration, and also trying to give them psychological briefing so as to forget all the trauma that they've been able to undergo. Indeed. So I think it's a commendable effort. The government should do more, but it's a very sad commentary in the history of Nigeria.
You can say that again. Last word, 30 seconds. Yes. What needs to be done so that we don't find ourselves back, facing Boko Haram seriously? So in 30 seconds,
so what needs to be done is issue of intelligence, information gathering, and intelligence, use of technology to the best as a multiplier of the force multiplier, and also tracing where the funds come from. Follow the money until we are able to get where these funds come from. We will not be able to stop how they recruit. We will not be able to stop how they get these weapons, and in fact we will not be able to be ahead of them in the intelligence curve, because with money they can get all those. So until we find out where the money comes from and stop that, then we still have a long way to go.
Very well said. Thank you so much. Wing Commander Musa Salman, retired security and development expert, and of course Dr. Ibrahim Modibbo is media consultant, political affairs analyst. Thank you for your brilliant contributions on Newsnight tonight.